Buying a house is mostly a renovation problem, whereas buying into a neighborhood is more of a life decision. Hi friends, Alex Kais here. I help people buy and sell homes in the Pacific Northwest, but this video is more about the thing that people get wrong about house hunting. You see, most people spend months looking for the perfect house, when what they should really be doing is looking for the perfect street. I've had a lot of clients who I know are up late looking at listings because I get a 2 a.m. email about a house that they're excited about. People compare square footage, zoom in on kitchens, quietly argue about if they need an extra bedroom or a bigger garage. And they start imagining what life might look like inside the walls. And don't get me wrong, those things really do matter and you do have to live in a house. But the strange thing about house hunting is that people often obsess over the thing that's the easiest to change, because houses change all the time. You can remodel an out-of-date kitchen, change out terrible floors that a flipper put in, open a wall so that it's easier to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night. People are constantly changing houses to fit their lives. And, sure, it might be expensive, but, get out there, learn how to use a power tool, and in a couple of years, you'll be able to DIY just about anything. In some parts of the world, people don't even think of houses as permanent structures. In Japan, for example, houses are often rebuilt after a few decades. It's the land that holds the value, and the house is just something that changes over time, which is interesting because modern house hunting flips that idea upside down. We obsess over the building when the thing that actually shapes our life is the place around it. In real estate, we act like the house is a permanent part of the decision, but I've looked inside 1,000 houses now, and I know that pretty much every house out there is an ongoing project. Kitchens remain half updated. There's weird additions from the 80s, strange bathroom remodels, and evidence that every owner before you has slowly been changing the house to fit their life too. Okay, it feels a little bit like it's going to rain, so let's go inside. We bought a house a few months ago, our third house in about 10 years, and this time I wanted to do things a little bit differently. For 5 years, we lived in a fairly suburban neighborhood, mostly single-family homes, quiet streets, lots of trees, but most of the businesses are out on the big 5-lane roads, so if you want a coffee or groceries or almost anything really, you end up getting in the car and then driving out to one of those arterials. When we started looking recently, I found myself drawn to a different kind of neighborhood. Mostly, I just wanted to be able to walk everywhere. I spend hours in the car for work, and I'm tired of having to drive for daily tasks and everyday recreation. We recently found ourselves in a more urban neighborhood, and on paper, it actually looks pretty similar. Still mostly single-family homes, still residential streets, plenty of trees and parks, still just about 15 or 20 minutes from the urban core. But the way the neighborhood works is very different. There are small businesses tucked into the neighborhood between houses. The homes are a little closer together, the streets are a little narrower, and all of that quietly promotes a walkable lifestyle. So people are out. People walk to get dinner. We walk to school every day. I've met a number of neighbors while they're just standing in their yard because there are people passing by to say hello to. And when we go downtown, it isn't a 15-minute blast on the interstate. It's 15 minutes on normal city streets, which feels very different. After a while, I realized that I wasn't actually looking for a dream house. I was looking for the right street, because once you start paying attention to neighborhoods, you begin noticing things that you don't really see when you're just looking at listings online. You notice how fast cars move down the road, whether people are outside, or if every garage door just closes behind them and the street goes quiet. If you saw my last video, you might recognize my garage project here, and sorry, I have to interrupt with a brief message. If you're in the process of trying to buy or sell a house, then this is the kind of work that I do every day as a licensed realtor. I help people think through not just the house, but also how their life fits into different spaces, the place around it, where they spend their time. So if you're starting to think about moving, or even just wondering what neighborhoods might work well for you anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, then please feel free to reach out. I'll put a link down here here in the description so that you can schedule a call. No expectations, no pressure. We can just get together and answer all your questions. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Let's get back to it. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is how much of life actually happens close to home. There's something about living in a place where your daily life overlaps with other people's daily lives. Our daughter's getting ready to go to kindergarten pretty soon, and suddenly school feels like this overwhelmingly big decision. I thought buying a house was a big decision, but school somehow feels even bigger. We've been looking at all of the options: the local public school, a private school nearby, another private school with a really good academic program, but it's further away. And then I came across this idea proposing that the best school for your kid is the one that's closest to home. Not because it's the most prestigious, but because waking up earlier, sitting in the car every day, stretching your life out across distance 5 days a week, that has a cost to it. And I've started realizing that for me, the same thing is true for almost everything. You know, the best grocery store is the one that's closest. The best coffee shop's the one that's closest. The best park is the one that's closest. I'll admit that my life isn't perfectly local right now. I'm doing real estate across 2 states, and sometimes life feels a little geographically scattered. I bet many of you watching this video work on remote teams too, but when we moved, one thing that I really wanted was for everyday life to be small again. And the more neighborhoods I walked through, the more I realized that I was subconsciously running these little tests in my head. So I wanted to ask team member Bethany about this because she's house hunting with clients every weekend. And I asked her, what's the most common thing that people say is most important to them when house hunting?
I mean, different things, different priorities, but definitely heavy on how the place feels. Like, just what is your impression when you walk in? How, like, the layout, like how much light, that's a big deal. I think especially in Seattle where it's so dark some of the year that if you can get as much light as possible, that's really important. Light, windows, how does it flow? How does the space move around? Like, how usable are the spaces inside the house? Like, how big are the closets? So things like that.
Yeah, and I think all those things are super important, but it's not really like what causes people to fall in love with a place. So when we're walking through a neighborhood, I feel like kind of subconsciously we're always running through these little tests in our heads and evaluating the neighborhoods, and making this video kind of gave an opportunity for us to formalize this and talk about it a little bit. Like, one of the first things I think about is what does the neighborhood feel like on a Tuesday? You know, because most open houses are on Sundays. Everything's put together, staged, and like the neighborhood's beautiful. But normal life happens on Tuesdays.
And people leave the city on weekends, so it might be quieter. It might just have a very different vibe. So if you're serious about a house, it's always good to like go drive around, be there during different times of the day and week. Like at night, it might have a very different feel than daytime.
I've done house hunting like in the evenings when we're done. It's dinner time. I'm like, oh, you should go to this restaurant and have dinner and check out the neighborhood.
Like experience the neighborhood.
Next thing is what I'm calling the errand test. You know, like how easy is it to do errands on a daily basis? I run into people a absurd amount of times at Trader Joe's. I don't know how it happens. Just like I run into so many people at Trader Joe's. And it's really fun because it makes the like neighborhood feel more alive and more familiar and more like home.
And in an era where we are lonely, like there's a pandemic of loneliness that we need to find ways of connecting with other humans. So like your own neighborhood is a really obvious place to start.
And then the front yard test.
Is there stuff in the front yard? Do people actually go there? Like, or is it ghost town?
There's a lot of neighborhoods where people just like pull into the driveway or the garage, close the door, and then disappear. You know, it goes to like urban design. You know, how is the house situated? How's the neighborhood built? And like if you walk around and you see things strewn in the front yard, I think it's a good sign. Like people are out and about just living life.
Like kids' bikes, gardening tools, like do people actually spend time out there? And then that's when you do talk to your neighbors, is if you just bump into each other.
That's when community's built. Did you know that every 7 years. That's how long people typically stay in a house before moving in the United States. So, when you...
Is that a national statistic?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like I have to remind people every time that they look at a house to have long-term vision. Think about like the neighbor in Seattle in particular, like is that house going to get turned into a bunch of townhouses? And then also just like evaluating your life and like, is it going to suit your life in the future? And are you going to be able to stay there for a while? You did a big addition on your house to make it more livable and make it possible to stay there long term. Was that something that you were thinking about when you guys bought the house?
I think it was in the back of our minds, because we bought with my in-laws, and my husband and in-laws have all done a lot of remodeling projects in the past, and so that wasn't like an intimidating thing to think about as much, even though we didn't do it. We hired a contractor. The addition makes it way more livable long term. And
then finally, kind of what I'm calling like the slow down test. There's neighborhoods that are kind of designed to be driven slowly through. Maybe the streets are a little bit narrower, the houses are closer together. They just naturally, without putting up signs, cause you to drive a little bit slower and take your time through them. These kind of subconscious cues that cause you to slow down as you're going through the neighborhood.
It's a subconscious thing a lot of times. If it feels like people are living and walking right around you, you're going to drive slower.
We did this really fun video a couple years ago with Nat Henry, who built this really cool walkability map. It's now expanded, I think, across the United States. You can look at any city and see how walkable it is if you want to be close to a supermarket, a library. I think this walkability and the ability to slow down makes a neighborhood like just feel nicer. It's a little bit more magical. I think like Madrona in Seattle is a really good example. Ladd's Addition in Portland, these neighborhoods where you just want to linger. It's nice. The older I get, the more I realize that life happens within a couple blocks of your front door. So after a long while of helping people buy and sell homes, the way that I think about house hunting has flipped. Instead of looking for the perfect house and hoping that the neighborhood works out, I instead focused on finding the right street. And I mean, like I literally drew a box around the neighborhood that we wanted to live in. It was pretty small, and then just waited for a house to pop up for sale that was, good enough. Just remember, you're never going to find the perfect neighborhood. I love where we live. There's coffee shops and bookstores and restaurants tucked in between the houses. We walk to school every day. I run into neighbors when we're out and about. I love it. But there's not enough sidewalks, and it just drives me crazy. But you don't need to find the perfect neighborhood. You just need to find one where life fits, because buying a house is a renovation problem, and buying into a neighborhood is a life decision. Bye.